الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم النبيين أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وأزواجه أجمعين أما بعد. So we begin with the futuhat in the Khilafah of Uthmān ibn Affān radiyallahu anhu. Tayyib, we have a few things that people misunderstand. First thing, when we talk about futuhat, victories, battles that were won, it's not just fighting. And everybody wants to hear about the fighting battles, and we have stuff that we will discuss tonight inshaAllah. But there were many other types of victories that came during the Khilafah of Uthmān ibn Affān radiyallahu ta'ala anhu that people forget about. And there's a lot of historic context that people don't keep in mind. And I want to begin with clarifying some things that many of our du'at, like if you watch du'at talk about the life of Uthmān radiyallahu anhu, they miss. What they do is they go to Shaykh Mufti al-Azam, like the great Mufti, Google, and they go and Google Khilafah of Uthmān and victories. And then some kafir somewhere made a little map. And they depend on that little map. It's got like little colors and stuff. But actually those maps are wrong. I know because I checked them against the books that actually mention the futuhat and victories that happened during the Khilafah of Uthmān radiyallahu anhu. Secondly, what people forget is at the death of Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu, fitan broke out in the ummah. How? What had happened is Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, he stabilized the ummah. There were fitan during the time of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, it was 2 years something, during the Khilafah of Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, he stabilized it. He chose Umar ibn Khattab radiyallahu anhu before his death, so it was a very smooth transition. Umar radiyallahu anhu, he pushed the boundaries. He sent soldiers and armies out to the far outskirts of the ummah at the time. He battled the Persians, he battled the Romans. In 10 years, he did a lot of work. He spread the ummah. But those battles in those areas were still shaky, right? Because they didn't force conversions. Islam never forces anybody to become Muslim. This is a myth that people dream up, right? Because, let me ask you a simple question. When you become a Muslim, where does it begin? Where is the beginning of your Islam? Qalb, your heart, right? And then it comes to your lisan, the shahada you recite. And it is seen in your a'mal, in your actions, right? So if in the heart you don't believe, somebody puts a sword or a gun to you, say the shahada, it's useless. You're not a Muslim. If you don't have that belief, you're not a Muslim. So you can't force anybody to be Muslim. You know who does forced conversions? Why don't you go take a look at something called the Spanish Inquisition? Why don't you look at the history of Mexico or South America or the United States where we're sitting and talk about the Catholics and others and what happened in the Philippines and what happened in Africa, and we can talk about who forced who to become what. Umar radiyallahu anhu, he had these victories, but he didn't force them to become Muslim. He gave them a choice. You want to become Muslim? Alhamdulillah. If not, you can be protected and live under the Khilafah. You pay the jizya. Muslims are going to pay zakat, you pay the jizya. It's a service fee. You get the services, you pay for it. So many people didn't become Muslim. So at that time, it's not like when the Persians were defeated, Qadisiyah, khalas, all of Persia became Muslim. No. So you had, at the death of Umar radiyallahu anhu, a very critical moment. Why? Because now, for the first time, an Amir, a Khalifa of the Muslims was assassinated. Right? Abu Bakr radiyallahu died of natural causes. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, even though he's a shaheed because of the poison, but he died without an assassination, a clear assassination anyway. So the first time, the enemies of Islam, it's not like the Romans had finished and the Persians had finished. The enemies of Islam, they saw an opportunity. So what happened during the Khilafah? At the end of the Khilafah of Umar radiyallahu anhu, when he was bleeding, when he was dying, the news spread that the Khalifa has been assassinated. And the enemies of Islam, they caused revolts. They caused problems, they paid off. And we'll talk about this. So when Uthman radiyan became the Khalifa, many of the lands in Faras, and we'll discuss them, and also towards the Roman side, towards the east and the west, there were revolutions and the Muslim armies were pushed back. So Uthman radiyan, he reconquered a lot of those areas. And he pushed then the boundaries out. Imam Tabari, he mentions a calculation. And if you look at it, if you convert them to miles today, he said about 1 million miles of area came under the fold of Islam during the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan. Right? And he says countless, we could not count how many people came under the fold of Islam in the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan. So I'm going to begin today with some highlights about the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan, and then we'll dig into each battle and each point as we see fit. First thing, we talk about the style of ruling. Everybody has a style how to rule. Umar radiyan, his style was very centralized. Every order would come from Medina. And for everything you had to turn back to Medina. And from a central location he would govern. Uthman radiyan, he saw a need to decentralize authority. And in the end, it pays off. What he did is, of course, the major decisions would come from Medina, which was Darul Khilafah, but he also assigned Umara in the different far areas to make decisions and gave them some level of autonomy where they could make their own decisions within the Quran and Sunnah. If they made a mistake, he punished them. If they said something right, even if they had not come back to Medina for permission, he supported them. This is his style of governing. Uthman radiyan developed many firsts, many things that were not done. And Al-Tabari, and Ibn Kathir, and Ibn Sa'd. And if you go through all of the ulama and the kutub of tarikh, they agree that the first navy established by the Muslim armed military was by Uthman radiyan. So Uthman radiyan established the first navy. And during his time, they have a battle with the Romans that we'll discuss, which was a test of the Muslim navy. And the leader of the Muslim navy, it was Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And we'll talk about Muawiyah radiallahu anhu a little bit in these durus, and then we'll discuss him separately as in the later durus, inshaAllah ta'ala. Uthman radiallahu anhu, I looked at the battles that I could find during the Khilafah of Uthman radiallahu anhu. I did not find a single one so far, a single one that the Muslims lost. Every battle that I saw during the Khilafah of Uthman radiallahu anhu, the Muslims won. Again, maybe I'll find one later, but so far in my research, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him to win these battles. During the Khilafah of Uthman radiallahu anhu, the Ummah spread all the way to current day Sindh, which is currently in Pakistan. All the way to Sindh. People think Islam came by Muhammad bin Qasim, but actually the Muslim military and Muslim du'at reached Sindh during the Khilafah of Uthman radiallahu anhu. In the northern areas, there is the areas which was known as Khurasan. Khurasan is a very big area. It stretches from what is current day eastern Iran all the way up to Uzbekistan, covering most of what is current day Afghanistan, a part of what is current day Pakistan, a part of what is going to go up all the way to the Soviet republics. All of that used to be Khurasan. Umar radiyan began the battles there. But during the Khilafah of Umar radiyan, even all of what is current day Iran was not captured. During the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan, the Khilafah went up to take most of all of Khurasan. And we'll talk about those battles and where, including what is current day parts of Afghanistan. This is to the east. During the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan, to the west, the Muslim Ummah spread and conquered all the way to what is current day Tunisia, including the northern part of what is current day Libya. So in the Khilafah of Umar radiyan, they got into Egypt, but the northern African area was taken during the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan. On the northern side, as we mentioned, during the time of Umar radiyan, the battles began in Azerbaijan, but that area was conquered and stabilized during the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan, all the way into Armenia, what is currently known as Armenia. That was taken and conquered during the Khilafah of Uthmān ibn Affān radiallahu anhu. And this is Ibn Kathir and At-Tabari and others have mentioned authentic asanid that the first battles that happened in Spain were by who? Uthmān radiallahu anhu. We think the battle for Spain came much later, but the first armies to go and start the battles against the kuffar in Spain was during the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, as mentioned in Sahih Ahadith. And inshallah, as we get to these battles, I will mention the sources as well. The Kisra and the Persian Empire. And again, I want to clarify, when we talk about Romans and we talk about Persians as the enemies of Islam, we're talking about the kuffar. And Salman al-Farisi is also Persian, but he was a Muslim. Suhaib al-Rumi was also raised in Rome. He wasn't actually ethnically Roman, but he was a Muslim. And those from the Persians and Romans that became Muslim, they were Muslim. But those empires that were attacking Islam, from them the Persian Empire ended during the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan. And we'll talk about the ahadith about that and the glad tidings of Uthman radiyan anhu from that. The first da'i, the first caller towards Islam that was sent to China was sent when? During the Khilafah of, it's the easy one, we're not, you can just guess at it, right? During the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan anhu, and Sahih Ahadith, all the way into China, and we'll discuss this inshallah. Sa'ad ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu anhu, the great Sahabi, one of the 10 given the glad tidings of Jannah, he was sent by Uthman ibn Affan, and these ahadith are sahih. I looked this up not just in the Islamic books, yani books written by Muslim historians. I cross-referenced these with the texts and the historic documentation by kuffar, by the Chinese discussing this issue. At that time, according to the Tang dynasty's records, you can find these online, they've been translated, they recorded in their history books that a man named Sa'd ibn Waqqas came to a city or area called Shang'an. Today it's called Xi'an. It's spelled Z-I-A-N, but in the classic Chinese it was with a sha sound, C-H-A-N-G, and then an, Shang'an, which is today called Xi'an. In this area during the Tang Empire, and there is a people called Huai. It's written H-U-I, but it's pronounced Huai. And these people became Muslim at the hands of Sa'ad ibn Waqqas, at the direction of Uthman ibn Affan, and this is the great victory. There was no fighting. They went, they gave them da'wah, and the Chinese emperor, I found in their records, he's called Gaozong. But in some of the history books, including the Muslim history books, he's called Yang Wei. And this could be that there were two titles for the same king. So he was an emperor, and he hosted the jama'ah that came. He hosted Sa'd ibn Waqqas radiyan anhu, who went with a military unit. They went ready to fight. But they didn't fight. They told them, we want to give you da'wah towards Islam. The emperor did not become Muslim. But he said, I will allow you to preach to my people. So the Muslims, they made ijtihad. They didn't fight. They went and they called the people towards Islam. And they established the first masjid in China. The first masjid in China was established during the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. And you can find historic documentation in the Muslim books like Tarikh al-Tabari, and you can find that documentation in the Tang dynasty's historical records. According to some of the ulama, that masjid is still standing. Wallahu alam, and there is a masjid, they say this is the masjid. Don't know about verification. Just to give you an idea, in 1936, there was an independent study done to look at the Muslim population of China in 1936. In 1936, they came out to be, according to this study, 48 million. 48 million. The socialist, communist, whatever is government today says there's 28 million, which is a laughable figure because the Muslim population has grown How do you go from 48 million to 28 million? But there is a reason why the socialist government there wants to downplay every religious population. Even Christian, they try to downplay the numbers. But in reality, according to United Nations, in their calculations, there are 70 to 100 million Muslims in China today. 70 to 100 million Muslims in China today. The reward of every one of their Islam goes to Uthman radiallahu anhu. Imagine. I will make a point, make dua for our brothers and sisters in China, the Muslim brothers and sisters. They're going through a lot of hardships, a lot of torture and hardships. Make dua for them. During the Khilafah of Uthmān ibn Affān radiallahu anhu, they established the first official dirham and dinar for the Islamic Khilafah. And in the time of Umar and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhuma, and in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they had the dinar and dirham. But it was just basically, if you could put together that much gold or silver, it would be the dinar or dirham. But during the Khilafah of Uthman radiallahu anhu, they standardized the dinar. And what they did, if the dinar came from the Persians, it would have a picture of the Persian emperor on them. So what Uthman radiallahu anhu did was overstamp it, stamped over that with Bismillah. So you would cut out the picture as much as you could with Bismillah and established an official coin that could be used for trade. So then you wouldn't just get any dinar and dirham, you would have an official one that would be used in the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. According to Imam al-Dhahabi and Imam al-Tabari and Imam Ibn Kathir, three of them agree that the most prosperous economic time amongst the Khilafah was during the time of Uthman radiallahu anhu. If we take the four, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, economically radiallahu anhum, it was the best time for the wealth of the ummah, because Uthman radiallahu anhu made laws of trade according to the Quran and Sunnah, according to the Quran and Sahih Ahadith. But he made laws that govern trade, which let trade flourish during the Khilafah of Uthman radiallahu anhu. Imam Ibn Kathir says that Uthman radiallahu anhu built 5,000 masajid during his Khilafah, which was the longest, 12 years. Amongst the Khilafah, the longest period was that of Uthman radiallahu anhu. He built 5,000 new masajid. Uthman radiallahu anhu expanded Masjid al-Nabawi. He expanded it for the people, and he expanded the Haram in Mecca as well. And he placed lamps for the Muslims to come during the times that were dark to make it easy for them. Uthman radiallahu anhu saw during his Khilafah that many people started to come for Hajj and Umrah. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was no such thing as a hotel. In fact, some of the ulama said one of the first bid'at we saw in the Haramain was the establishment of hotels later on, way later, right? Because the way of the Muslim was that if somebody came for Hajj or Umrah, you would host them. You would want the reward for it. And many Muslims, even until very recently, they would have houses set up just for Hujjaj and the Mu'tamir, the one who's coming for Hajj or Umrah, to stay in fi sabilillah. And you would have rich people from different areas that would set up such places for the people coming from their countries, like from Al-Hind and from Africa and different areas. Uthman radiallahu anhu saw that it became difficult for the people to host them in the houses, so he took money from Baytul Mal and he established guest houses. And these were houses established just for anybody that's coming fi sabilillah for Hajj and Umrah to stay free. And these lasted for a long time. Till a few hundred years ago, they were still there. Uthman radiallahu anhu set up a canal system. He set up canal system to bring water from wells into Mecca and Medina, and he set up canal systems in other parts like in Kufa and Basra and other areas as well to bring water in. Uthman radiallahu anhu established a standing army. He established a standing army and he established a system which was originally set by Umar radiallahu anhu, but he developed it on how to send militaries out. It was no longer just, Allah, who wants to go? And they made a tartib with every qabila sending their people in a rotation, and he would take the people of Sham and send them to Iraq, and take the people of Iraq and send them to Sham, and wherever the battle would slow, then he would change it up, and he set up a schedule for that. And he is the first one that established a plan and an army to liberate Constantinople, which is current day Istanbul. And we'll talk about that army and its going and its significance and what actually went and when it was planned and all of that, inshaAllah. One of the greatest accomplishments, one of the biggest khidmah that Uthmān ibn Affān radiallahu anhu did for our ummah, that every one of us should be making dua for him even till today, is that he preserved and sent out copies of the Mus'haf as we see it today. I don't care if you're reading it in Tehran, and I don't care if you're reading it in Spain or in China or in Africa. Every Mus'haf that you have has to be in alignment with the Mus'haf that was established by Uthmān radiallahu anhu. I don't care if you recite Warsh or Qalun or Hafs or Shu'bah or Qunbul or any qira'at, it has to be in accordance with the Mus'haf of, so many people, everybody asleep already. The Mus'haf of who? Uthmān ibn Affān radiallahu anhu. So think of that service. Every time me and you pick up the Mus'haf and we read it, that reward goes to Uthmān radiallahu anhu. How many billions of Muslims today, and how many is from the time of, look at the reward of this man. Subhanallah, what a service done for the ummah. During the time of Uthmān radiallahu anhu, and we'll discuss this battle in detail coming up inshaAllah. And there is a book, and Imam al-Tabari has this as well, but An-Najum Zahira, which discusses in great detail, and Imam al-Tabari mentions with an authentic sanad about the first naval battle of the Muslim Ummah. It's called Ma'rika Dat al-Sawari, which is the battle of the mast, they call it, the one that, the big wooden mast that you take the ship with. And this is a battle that happened against the Romans, and it's the first naval battle that the Muslims fought, and it was a victory from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against all odds. Amazing battle. We'll discuss it in the later durus, inshaAllah ta'ala. With that, I want to mention a few of the other accomplishments of Uthmān radiallahu anhu that have to do with tarbiyah. I know everybody just wants to hear about fighting and things, but we have to talk about tarbiyah. Uthmān radiallahu anhu made tarbiyah of the ummah, and he was very harsh against bid'ah. When he saw anything going outside the folds of the Sharia, the fold of Quran and Sunnah, even if it was a mistaken ijtihad of a Sahabi, he would stop him. And I'll give you just one example. Abdullah ibn Amir, and Abdullah ibn Amir will speak about him a lot. He is a great Sahabi, and he is a great warrior, and he is one of the generals of Uthmān radiallahu anhu, and he was instrumental in a lot of the battles, very brave Sahabi. He won a battle in Nishapur in the area in Persia where the fighting was going on. And this is where Imam Muslim and many other ulama, they come from. After the victory, to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he decided to put on the ihram from Nishapur and then come all the way to Mecca. And it's a long journey, so he put it on at his residence, in jihad, where he was fighting, to put an extra hardship on himself to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Uthmān radiallahu anhu forbid him. He told him the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is when you get to the miqat, you will enter the state of ihram. You will not enter the state of ihram before that, and especially when you have such a long distance. Abdullah ibn Amir is a great general. He says, I am able to bear the hardship. I want to do a little above and beyond. Uthmān radiallahu anhu said no. He said the line of taqwa is the line where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said it. You cannot say, I'm going to do above and beyond. No. What Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us, this is it. So when you get to the miqat, you will make your ihram from there. And this is something that shows his strictness on the sunnah. Uthman radiallahu anhu, he heard about some people who were planning on doing some evil. He heard about it, immediately he put together a group of Sahaba for Amr bin Ma'ruf and Nahy al-Munkar. And when the people heard about this, from the fear, they stopped their evil. So Uthman radiallahu anh never had to invade anybody's privacy or have to punish anybody. When this happened, Uthman radiallahu anh started crying and thanking Allah. And the people, they were shocked. They said, why? He said, I'm thanking Allah because Allah stopped that evil at my hands, but didn't make it where I had to punish or shame a Muslim. And subhanAllah, look at the mindset of Uthman. It's not like, got you. Today we were looking for mistakes. Anybody makes it, I saw this sheikh and he was doing this, you get all happy. But this is because we don't have that love for the ummah in our heart. Uthman radiallahu anhu, he wouldn't tolerate haram. He wouldn't tolerate evil. He would stop it. But at the same time, he didn't want to punish people. He didn't want to put people to shame. So the evil is stopped just from the ru'b of Uthman. He was happy about this and he thanked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As the Khalifa, as Imam al-Tabari and Ibn Kathir, he mentioned that Uthman radiallahu anhu never let 7 days go without finishing the Quran. Subhanallah, wallahi, when we read this, we feel ashamed of ourselves. And we feel ashamed of giving this dars. What can we do? We ask Allah to forgive us. He was the Khalifa of the Muslim Ummah, imagine. And this is the biggest the Ummah has been. Bigger than the time of Umar and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhuma. Bigger than the time when it was the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it is a time when he's very busy. It's not like he has nothing to do. But he never let 7 days go by in 12 years of being a Khalifa except with finishing the Quran. Uthman radiallahu anhu would fast every other day. On top of this, he would fast every other day. And as his wife in the Sahih Hadith mentioned, that he would never spend a night without praying the most of that night. What a shame. What can we do? Never a night in 12 years, except that the majority of the night would be in salah. And these are Sahih Hadith. This was Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. Uthman radiallahu anhu was known to never let any violation of the Sharia go. For example, Uthman radiallahu anhu, as Khalifa in the Sahih Hadith, he saw a man wearing red. He was wearing an izar and rida, they were all red. There was no stripes, it was all red. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbid this. So when Uthman radiallahu anhu saw this, as the Khalifa, he stopped his discussions, his shura, he got up, went to that man and stopped him. The people told him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, you have bigger things. He says, never. He says, how can I be the Khalifa and a single order of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is broken and I don't stop it? Never. Uthman radiallahu anhu, he heard that some people in a part of the Khilafah were making a instrument for gambling. Yani some things that people could gamble by. Uthman radiallahu anhu announced that if I find that I know who it is, I will take men and we will light fire to those houses. And some people think his style was soft, but Uthman radiallahu anhu was a very strong man. He said, if I find who it is, I will light fire to those houses. And the people, when they heard this, they stopped without him even having to do this. One of the Sahaba, they came to Uthman, and listen to this. He told him, how can you light fire to the house? And where did you get this hukam from? Uthman radiallahu anhu, this was his strictness on the sunnah. He said, I heard Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saying that I wish that I have a man give the adhan and I have people make jama'ah, and then those people that don't come out for jama'ah, then I go and light fire to those houses. So from this sunnah I knew that I should make this statement. And as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam didn't actually have to go and light anybody's house on fire, Alhamdulillah, I didn't have to go light anybody's house on fire, but this is a يعني رعب, a kind of an impression that should be put to stop the evil. And even when he had these little things, he would go back to the Sunnah. The maternal brother, his name is Walid ibn Uqba, and we'll talk about him. He is a Muslim, he is a mu'min, he is somebody that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given responsibility to and praised. He was assigned to collect zakat by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself. His name is Walid ibn Uqba. And he is the maternal brother of Uthmān radiallahu anhu. What does that mean? The mother of Walid ibn Uqba and the mother of Uthmān ibn Affān is the same woman. But the father of Walid ibn Uqba is a man named Uqba, and the father of Uthmān radiallahu anhu was Ḥaffān, because at that time, if a woman's husband died, she would marry somebody else. And she may have a child from one father and a child from another father because of the different time. So Walid ibn Uqba was the brother of Uthmān radiallahu anhu because they had the same mother but not the same father. And he was a man who became Muslim in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam assigned him to collect the zakat. And Uthmān radiallahu anhu assigned him to be the governor of Kufa. But as the governor of Kufa, he fell into a sin. And they were human beings. We cannot think that every one of them was malaika. They were human beings. He drank alcohol. And when Uthmān radiallahu anhu found out, he had him come, even though it's his brother. It's his brother, and it's a man who's done a lot of good. But he ordered Ali ibn Abi Talib and Jafar radiallahu anhuma to whip him. Now, for drinking alcohol in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the punishment was 40 lashes. But when Umar radiallahu anhu saw that this was not enough of a deterrent, he increased it to 80. And this is an issue where there is jawaz of ijtihad. So when Ali and Jafar, they whipped him 40 lashes, they stopped. Uthmān radiallahu anhu said, continue to 80. Because I don't want anybody to think that he will be given a lesser punishment because he's my brother. And imagine the strictness of Uthmān radiallahu anhu to even carry out the had on his own brother and his own governor. And when he saw evil, he did not care about relations. Uthmān radiallahu anhu heard some people speak against Abbas radiallahu anhu. Abbas, the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When he heard this, he ordered them whipped with the whipping of slander. He did not tolerate it. They told him, why? This is our opinion about him. He said, no. He said, Abbas is the uncle of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he is a great sahabi with great fadail, and whatever you said is a lie, and you will be whipped. And that is the strictness he had, where he would not allow buhtan to go on. Uthmān radiallahu anhu, he brought a lot of ilm to us. In fact, the most comprehensive hadith on wudu, and how was the wudu of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is in Al-Bukhari and Muslim, and this is the hadith of Uthmān radiallahu anhu. He recorded a lot of ilm, and even as the Khalifa, he used to give halaqat of ilm. He used to sit and teach the Sahaba. As the hadith where he told Hamran, his Mawla, to bring water, and he made wudu, and he showed the Sahaba. As the Khalifa, he was teaching them wudu. This was his concern about ilm. Uthmān radiallahu anhu, during his Khilāfah, he saw that the people started coming late for Jum'ah. And this is a very important fiqh issue. Uthmān radiallahu anhu, in Medina, because Medina grew a lot during the Khilāfah of Uthmān radiallahu anhu. It doubled and tripled. Different ulama have given different numbers, but it grew the most during the Khilāfah of Uthmān radiallahu anhu from any of the four Khulafah. And now what happened is, only Masjid al-Nabawi was the central masjid for Jum'ah. You wouldn't have like nowadays where you have a Masjid al-Jum'ah and a block away you have another Masjid al-Jum'ah. Like, this is ridiculous. Masjid doesn't have 5 times salawat, they have Jum'ah. This is the opposite. In the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the Khulafah, you would have many masajid that had 5 times salah, but you would have one central masjid in a city with Jum'ah. If you had a need of an outskirt, then you would have another Jum'ah, but there would be 10 or 20 or 30 small masajid with salawat that would not have Jum'ah because of the bigger masjid there. So during the Khilafah of Uthman radiallahu anhu, he saw people started coming late, because as during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they would have the adhan, and after the adhan the khatib would begin. And there would be the khatib, the khutbah, and then the iqamah, and then the salah, as we do today. This was done by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Abu Bakr and Umar radiyallahu anhuma. Uthman radiallahu anh saw that the people that are on the outskirts that have grown, by the time they hear the adhan, if they're not already moving, then by the time they come to the masjid, they're late. So he made a shura with the Sahaba. And he went back, this is very important, he went back to the Sunnah. And he established a second adhan. What did he do? He established a second adhan, which was earlier. Because the time of Jum'ah comes in before Dhuhr even. And this adhan would not be given in the masjid. I want to clarify this because some people misuse this issue. This would be given in the marketplace of Medina. This adhan would be given in the marketplace of Medina. So those that are trading, those that have shops can know it's time to shut down. So when they heard this adhan, they would start to shut down. And then the second adhan would be given in the masjid, as it was done in the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Umar and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhum. And then the Imam would give the khutbah, and then he would have the iqamah. And ijma'an, none of the Sahaba objected to this. Tayyib. But what's interesting is some people say, oh, this was a bid'ah. Uthman radiyan, he did a bid'ah, he added another adhan. But this is a foolish statement. First thing, nothing Uthman or Abu Bakr or Umar or Ali radiallahu anhum did could be bid'ah. Why? Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Alaykum bi sunnati wa sunnatul khulafa ar-rashidin al-mahdiin." Whatever they did is sunnah. First thing. Secondly, even with this issue, as I found in the longer hadith, Uthman radiyan went back to the sunnah. How? He said during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, for Fajr we had two adhan. One was before the time of Fajr came in, because the people needed to get ready. So if I need to do something to let the people get ready, I will go back to what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did, and I will add the adhan here. Tayyib. Many of the masajid today don't have the second adhan. Majority of the ai don't have the second adhan. And some people, they say, the Sahaba, they didn't object and you guys don't have it, Right? Tayyib. First off, for those who bring this objection, if you say in the ijtihad of Uthman radiyan is binding mutlaqan, then we would say Uthman radiyan also made 4 rak'ah as a musafir. In Mina, he made 4 rak'ah as a musafir. Those same people that say, oh, why don't you have 2 adhan? In their madhab, they say you cannot make 4 rak'ah. All the other madhahib, they say that 2 rak'ah as a musafir is better, but 4 rak'ah is jaiz. Their madhab says no, you cannot make 4 rak'ah. So what happened to following Uthman radiyan anhu there? And this is why you need to be truthful in your discussions. If you're going to try to find a point here, then you need to follow it there. First thing. Second thing, to explain the issue. Uthman radiyan anhu saw a need and he made ijtihad, and the ijtihad was correct. Where did he make the second adhan? The new one, the additional one. Where? In the masjid? In the marketplace. I have not seen any masjid today have this second or the first adhan, the additional one, in the marketplace. They do it in the masjid. What's the point then? Start following what Uthman radiyan anhu did. And we know this was only done in Medina. This was not done in the other masajid, as you can find the hadith in the Musnad of Ibn Abi Shaybah and the Sunan of Al-Bayhaqi, that during the Khilafah of Uthman radiyan anhu and Ali radiyan anhu, and later the regular masajid all had 1 adhan and then the iqamah. It was only due to the need that was there in Medina that this was established. So we say today that any masjid that has a need, if you have a masjid where there are marketplaces and places that are far and need to give them an extra adhan, there is jawaz. You can do it. But then it should be done there, not in the masjid. That's where ʿUthmān radiyan anhu did it. And it should only be done where there is a need. If you do not have a need, then the way of ʿUthmān radiyan anhu and Ali radiyan anhu and those Sahaba after them is to have one adhan, one iqamah, as was done during the Khilafah of Umar and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhuma, and during the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This is the haqq. This is the balanced approach. Some people take an opinion and they just want to justify their opinion. No. Look at the situation, look at what the dalail show, and follow the truth. Regarding the issue of 4 rak'ah, just since I'm on the subject, let's clarify. Uthman radiyan anhu, he knew that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam made 2 rak'ah in Mina when they were traveling. Uthman radiyan anhu made 4 rak'ahs. When he did this, ijma'an, the Sahaba followed him. Ibn Mas'ud radiyan anhu and others who disagreed with him, even then they followed him. That's the first thing. And that shows that if the ijtihad is made by the Khalifa, by the Amir, based on dalail, then you should follow him. But he was challenged by them. They challenged him, including Abdullah ibn Umar and Abdurrahman bin Auf. And when Abdurrahman bin Auf radiallahu anhu, he asked Uthman radiyan about this, he clarified why he did it, Uthman radiyan anhu. And he gave many points. One of them being that he had married a woman in Mecca and he was close. Yani he had a house in Mecca and he was close. But Abdurrahman bin Auf radiyan anhu, he explained to Uthman radiyan that there is no jawaz there, because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after the Fath of Mecca, he was there in Mecca, and the people of Mecca, when they prayed in Mecca, an announcement was made that the people of Mecca should complete their salah. But when they were in Mina, the people of Mecca, they prayed 2 rak'ah behind Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so there is no jawaz. Uthman radiyan also told him that he had property in Ta'if, so that was also close. Abdurrahman Auf radiyan told him that's too far. Uthman radiyan who then told him that I saw some of the Arabi, some of the Bedouins, who started to say, they were new in Islam, that Dhuhr is only 2 rak'ah because that's all we saw the Khalifa pray. So I wanted to show jawaz of the Musafir to make 4 rak'ah, and for them to know that 2 rak'ah is only for the traveler. Abdurrahman ibn Auf accepted this. So what does that tell us? That the madhab who says you cannot make 4 rak'ah goes against the ijma' of the Sahaba. As a Musafir, what is afdal? Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in the numerous times where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, 27 times of him becoming a traveler that we discuss in the Sirah Durus, every time he made 2 rak'ah. So what is better to make? 2 rak'ah. This is better. But from this hadith we know that there is jawaz. There is permissibility for the Musafir to make 4 rak'ah ta'liman, for teaching the people a lesson. Just so we can be clear about this issue. During the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, when we talk about the battles of Uthman radiallahu anhu and in his time, we want to talk about region to region. Yani, we will talk about one region and then the other region, because there's a lot of battles. The first region we will begin with is the region towards Faras. In Faras, during the Khilafah of Umar radiyan anhu, battles were won, areas were taken, Islam was established. And the Persian king from the Majus, from the fire worshippers, he retreated to Samarkand, the area which was Samarkand. Samarkand was not Muslim at this time. In this area, he started to make trouble for the Muslims. He didn't want to leave Islam alone. He wanted to cause trouble. So as Imam al-Tabari, he mentions in his Sahih, that he started to send money to the people who were under the Muslim Khilafah to revolt. And when he heard that Umar radiyan became a shaheed, he called those people to cause revolutions. And why? For money. Many of the people that were Persian, that came under the banner of Islam, that were not Muslim, they rejected his idea. Imam al-Tabari has this with Sahih Sanad. Why? They said, we have more aman, we have more peace, more security, more prosperity under the Muslims than we did under the Majus. So they rejected this. And many of them that were not Muslim fought on the side of the Muslim army. And many of them, they became Muslim. But many were tempted by wealth and by pride. A lot of, if you read the narrations, a lot of anti-Arab propaganda was used to hype up the Persian, the fire worshipping culture against the Arab. And from this, many revolts began. Now, the ulama of Tariq have given some names of who this king was. What Al-Tabari mentioned with Sahih Asanid is his Yazdigard the third. So there are two more before him. Yazdigard, the son of Shahriyar, and he's Yazdigard the third. Al-Tabari mentioned that this was the name, and he got many of the people to start to revolt throughout what was at that time under the Muslim rule. And he got other kuffar from Samarkand, from Bukhara, from these areas to help him, and he developed a military of 400,000. 400,000 to go and attack the Muslim Ummah. And here you have a time where the Romans have also done the same thing. The Roman emperor started to send money to Sham, and you had revolutions in Sham against the Muslims, and he prepared an army, including a navy fleet to attack the Muslims, where the Muslims had never fought a naval battle. And the Persians here, they developed a 400,000 strong army and revolutions within the Persian side. And then the first battle will happen under the leadership of Abdullah ibn Amir, with Walid ibn Uqba, with Ahnaf ibn Qais as the generals from ዑثمان ibn ዐፋን radiallahu anhu, that we will discuss in the next dars, insha'Allah ta'ala.